What's up, dirt bike enthusiasts? Colton Udall here. Welcome to the Champ ADV channel, YouTube channel. I'm going to show you a 2024 CRF 450RL build that we did. Just finished up, basically. Just kept with the stock colors because stock looks pretty dang good lately. And so we'll just start with the IMS 3.5 gallon tank. It has a screw cap adapter. I believe this is from San Diego Powerhouse. Hunt makes another one that is looks very similar. While we're at the top, we used a Renthal 999 handlebar. It's cut in the middle here for the stabilizer. It's an over-the-bar stabilizer mounted on BRP bar mounts with a regular 450L frame mount. Put these little pins in here to really keep that frame mount from walking off the frame. And if you're paying attention, here we've got a stock CRF 450RL clamp, but it's Cerakoted a gloss black, and that really complements the AHM suspension and the coloring that we had done for this motorcycle. Top here, just real quick, sorry, start button. It has basically a secondary start button that's down here in case you have a failure, because again, these start buttons are just all made kind of cheap, but it's really cool because you can mount it on the back of the brake hanger and it saves a lot of space. Working straight into the G-Day Designs handguard mounts. These are really rigid and they work really well for brush. Saved myself a lot of times at actual Baja Rally. This is an Enduro Engineering plastic handguard. So if you guys are interested in this setup, you go on G-Day Designs website. We just made a real small cut in the stock front brake master cylinder so the brake or the guard can come across here. I use an AME full waffle grip. And I cut it so it's actually like a 3/4 waffle, but from the outside in. And that really eliminates any hot spot inside your hand here and creates a little bit more suspension out here. So the waffle creates a little bit more dampening. Obviously a Scott stabilizer. If you look into these, obviously this red Galfer front brake line, it's nice and low. The stock one loops up quite a bit higher and it actually will hit you in the chest when you're riding. That's on the X and the L. It will mount the Odo line just fine, so you can still see the speed you're going because this is a 450RL. Working straight into these blinkers. It's got a low profile handlebar switch over here, but the blinkers, the blinkers are a nice Source off-road setup. They're really sleek. He's got plates so you could hit up Source off-road. They make a rear fender kit for the 450RL. While the light's on, we got a Baja Designs XL80 light with the Desert Unlimited plate setup that you can purchase. Bolts straight into the 450 headlight shell. Back to the AHM suspension with the I recessed this triple clamp. Basically matched the top and bottom. Worked quite hard. Did a little polish on it, so the top black and the bottom silver looks real nice with the AHM factory services suspension. They've got an anodize on this suspension. It's Kashima like, and it's really bitchin'. This is the nicest set of forks I've ever seen, I think, out of from coating specifically. So this was a stock set of suspension, and then you get coatings. You pay for coatings from AHM. The DLC lowers create a little bit less friction and certainly more durable to rock chips or anything like that, and a beautiful look. Stock 450L RL X lower lugs with the just stock wheels, just tightened. And I really like the Bridgestone X31 front. It's like a medium to hard compound tire, and we ran tubes instead of nitro mousses right now because he's going to ride this a lot on the highway and it might sit around. And so we ran the Bridgestone tubes on this. but I normally run a nitro mousse, and then also added stands sealant inside to prevent any potential issues. So staying right here, we've got a 450R RX right side radiator. It blends straight into the Champion Adventures coolant outlet kit. And obviously we heat taped all the coolant lines that are basically, brush comes up this way, and it acts as a extra protection for the radiator hoses, and also looks beautiful and keeps the coolant lines a little bit less. So it's not like overall just temperature. It has many different I guess uses. Pro Circuit exhaust. The Pro Circuit exhaust is by far the best fit and finish and look, in my opinion, over all of them. But I do like the FMF, and the Yosh would really be a third place thing. This pipe just mounts up and fits really nicely, and it's really easy. It does overhang a little bit, so when you do fall down, there's always potential for dents here. So, but you're not supposed to fall down. Running straight into, this is a TM Designs skid plate. I really like it because it has a cover for the AHM linkage, and the AHM linkage is a must for this motorcycle. It basically adds what would be suspension holdup, so it feels like you have almost 4 inches more of travel. So it has plenty of holdup. It picks up small chop really nicely. It slides through corners exceptionally well, and overall just feels like it has, like I said, 4 inches more travel nearly. So it's a great option if you're going to do that linkage. AHM just made another run. They should have them in stock here in a few weeks. You need a stiffer rear shock spring for that linkage, and AHM will help you with all that. And speaking of that shock spring, it's a beautiful red, but the 18 mil shock shaft conversion, basically it's conversion AHM provides, and it creates more straight line stability in the motorcycle. So pairing that with the linkage, and then these Works Chassis Lab engine hangers, you have a nice plush feel, but a really nice also straight line stability, so you don't get a wallow with any of the actions and when you're riding the motorcycle, of course. So Works Chassis Labs engine hangers, and then the front motor mounts, which are really nice. Obviously the Henson clutch cover is a really strong, durable option. It's much stronger than stock. They design it that way. It's got it's much thicker in these areas where it can potentially take an impact. It has a stock clutch on it. Back to the coolant outlet. If you know about Champion Adventures, we make that coolant outlet and sell it, and it's an option. It's basically your first step to building one of these motorcycles is an ECU, a coolant outlet, and an exhaust, in my opinion. So it eliminates 3 pounds. It eliminates this big bulky thermostat. It doesn't like people think that it prevents like the process of warming up the motorcycle, and it has no issues. We've ran this on many different motorcycles, both in the snow, every aspect, the desert, all of it. All you do is just warm your motorcycle up properly, just like you've been taught since you started riding a motorcycle. Working back down here, I refabricated the stock 450L brake pedal to get it closer to the clutch cover. You can see it's nice and tucked in. The stock one is built to essentially fit that plastic cover on it, so it sits much wider out here. I've got it nice and sleek. We've got the IMS Core Enduro Sharp foot pegs. These are 5 mil down and back with the what I call the Udall tab. I'm seeing a lot of actual older guys and young professional riders really loving these foot pegs. All the 11X guys really love the foot peg. It helps you plant the motorcycle and drive from the rear wheel through big sand corners. And other than that, for older guys, it's a bigger platform, or someone like me who doesn't have the action of my lower legs, or a part of my lower leg. But this tab is really cool. If you guys are interested in getting that welded on, it's a direct message thing. You can't really purchase it other than talking to us. The swing arm is all stock. I'll spin the bike around here, but I did modify a few things on the swing arm. We weld tabs that I've had made and reinforce the chain guide hanger, so when you have impacts coming from this direction, rocks or anything like that, it will absorb the rock impact, make a dent on your BRP chain slider, but not rip your chain guide off. And when that gets ripped off, you basically pay $850 for a new swing arm. So you can see here I've cut off the tabs for the 450L bracket, and I've also done some securing of the rear axle block. You can barely see it, but I pinned the rear axle block so it doesn't come off when you change. It's kind of like a KTM, so to say. And then I also pin this rear axle block to the brake hanger. So if you take this axle nut off, it's basically a 3-part system instead of 5 parts. And it keeps everything in line really nicely. So obviously in this whole build, the swing arm, this whole motorcycle comes apart. Everything gets lubed properly, fabricated, and then put back together. So the airbox is cut open just for better air filter install and removal. Kind of in a quicker like race style setup. I designed an airbox cut design. It's pretty nice. I'm not going to open it up, but controlling the motorcycle is a Vortex ECU. We have it programmed by a guy named Christian Kibbe. His company is called Fairburn LLC. He ran Geico Honda for 17 years, so he knows what he's doing. He's made this bike not only go fast, but pretty fuel efficient and very safe. I really trust him with keeping these motors dialed, especially when you go to a bigger camshaft. So moving right along straight into the engine, this bike has a RWE RX camshaft. It's all the same part number, it just gets modified. You get some essentially like finger followers or rocker arms, 450R, and some R intake springs. I know I've said before that I was going to make a video on the install, but I haven't done it yet. Apologize for that. But the cam is what really, and the ECU and the exhaust and the cooling out really make this bike an essential race bike. It'll go 110 miles an hour with that package. 11X and Nick Garvin have proved that. So going that fast takes a 1451 gearing. Stock is 1351. I like to just put a Renthal 14-tooth countershaft sprocket on it because it broadens the shifting in this transmission. It's a 6-speed. You need I kind of like to just eliminate the 6-speed and just broaden all the gears by going to a 1451, and now it has horsepower, so it will pull that 6th gear. It doesn't pull it with wide open, like so to say, high RPMs, but it will pull and go extremely fast even in 5th gear. So it's a nice gearing for road traveling, in my opinion. And right when I got on this bike stock, I knew that it needed a 14, so I worked to get that done. The shifter's just a little bit of polish, and we obviously have the coolant outlet with the yellow hoses. And I went with a Thrill Seeker seat cover. This has some added, like an inch of foam. And it really just dampens the initial sitting position. It's kind of a cool design. I like it. It's better for taller riders, obviously, than shorter. We'd probably be trimming the seat for a shorter rider. But I didn't talk about the Source Off-Road rear fender. This is basically a stock 450X rear fender with a license plate bracket and then a special brake light all integrated with the blinkers, super low profile. Again, Source Off-Road makes this little kit. But if you're going to purchase the kit, you certainly still will have to cut an extension of the aluminum subframe off, and that's a fair bit of fabricating. But yeah, the rear fender makes it look really nicely. We didn't talk about the rear tire setup. Again, it's a Bridgestone, but I use an X40 rear, and that's the hard pack terrain. This thing breaks down very nice and slow, provides great traction. I rode 800 kilometers over 2 days at the Baja Rally on this rear tire, and still it could go farther if I wanted. So it's if you're not spinning the tire a bunch, it's a great tire, and even if you're going wide open, it's still a good tire. So I think that kind of concludes the build. I'm sure we missed a few things, kind of pieced, but works connection, clutch lever, there's an integrated bearing in the clutch and a low profile Source Off-Road button, the AME grip, but the works connection lever makes the pull really nicely, almost makes the pull really nice, and it almost makes it feel like a hydraulic clutch. Yeah, that's, if you guys are interested in a build like this, it's a quite time consuming process, but we'd be happy to provide something like this for you. We can do custom things, not so dynamic, but always this extent of a build is fun, and customers always stoked. So this bike will go 105 to 110 miles an hour, and it'll get about like, depending on how you're riding, 100 miles to the tank. And these engines last an extremely long time. I haven't really seen a crankshaft fail from these newer model 19 through 24 450X and RLs. And yeah, that's it. Hit up Champ ADV. We offer motorcycle tours, coaching, bike builds, and happy to help you. Thanks for following.